Welcome back to Beyond the Battlefield. Today, we open a crucial doorway in Chapter 3. Krishna speaks to Arjuna about action, and more importantly, about inaction. He says,
"Not by refraining from action does a person attain freedom from action, nor by mere renunciation does one reach perfection."
It sounds simple, but it cuts deep. Because let's admit it, haven't we all dreamed of escape? Of running away from responsibility, hoping peace will follow?
Exactly, Jessica. Arjuna wanted that too. Remember, he had already told Krishna, if knowledge is higher, if wisdom is supreme, why should I fight? Why not renounce this battle? And Krishna, with crystal clarity, dismantles this illusion. He says, Arjuna, you cannot find freedom by avoiding action. You cannot become perfect just by throwing away your sword or by wearing the robe of renunciation.
So Krishna is breaking a myth? That silence, retreat, or even sitting in a cave will make you enlightened?
Yes, Krishna is acting as a myth-buster leader here. He tells Arjuna, actionlessness is not non-action. True freedom is not in abandoning life, but in engaging with it without attachment. Osho explains this beautifully. Even if you sit in meditation, your heart will still beat, your lungs will breathe, your thoughts will run. Life is movement. Life is action. So avoiding work doesn't bring freedom. Freedom comes when you act without being possessed by the act.
That feels so relevant today. Because in the modern world too, we often look for shortcuts. Like, if I just quit this job, maybe all stress will go away. If I just walk out of this mess, peace will come. But Krishna seems to be saying, running away is not freedom. It's only postponement.
Exactly. Krishna here shows a coach's leadership style. He doesn't shame Arjuna for wanting to escape. He doesn't say, you coward, stop talking nonsense. Instead, he reframes renunciation. He says, Arjuna, renunciation is not about leaving the battlefield. It's about leaving attachment to the outcome while still fighting the battle. That's leadership. He expands Arjuna's perspective instead of condemning him.
So even inaction is a kind of action. Even choosing to do nothing is still a choice that shapes reality.
Yes, that's Krishna's second big point. Inaction is not neutral. If a leader stays silent in crisis, that silence is action. If a manager avoids making a decision, that avoidance is still a decision. Krishna tells Arjuna, you cannot escape action. The only question is, will your action come from fear and avoidance or from clarity and alignment?
That feels like a mirror for leaders today. Many talk about values, about purpose, but when the tough decisions come, they hide. They escape into silence or into words.
Yes, and Krishna warns about that in the very next verse, calling it hypocrisy. But even here in verse 4, the seed is planted. He says, don't think escape equals enlightenment. Don't think resignation equals perfection. Real growth happens not in avoidance, but in engaged action, lived consciously.
So the first leadership insight from Krishna in Chapter 3 is this: don't confuse running away with rising above. Perfection isn't found in avoiding the battlefield. It's found in standing in the battlefield, but no longer chained by fear or desire. And the beauty is, Krishna doesn't scold Arjuna. He leads him, like a true guide, from illusion to clarity. We've just heard Krishna dismantle the illusion in verse 4, that freedom comes by avoiding action. Now, in verse 5, he goes even deeper. He says,
No one can remain, even for a moment, without action. Everyone is compelled to act, helplessly, by the qualities born of nature.
this is one of those truths that can shake us awake.
Yes, Krishna is telling Arjuna and us something radical. Action is not optional. Life itself is action. Birth is the beginning of action. Death is its end. Breathing, blinking, digesting, thinking, these are all actions. So long as you live, you cannot escape karma.
So, even doing nothing, even sitting still, is still doing something?
Exactly. You cannot not act. Even choosing not to decide is a decision. Even silence is communication. Krishna uses a very practical leadership move here. He doesn't leave Arjuna stuck in the false choice of should I act or not act. He reframes the question. Since you must act, the only real choice is how will you act?
That feels like a mirror to us today. Some of us try to escape into overwork, others into withdrawal. But Krishna says, neither escape is real.
Yes, Jessica. And Osho makes this very sharp. He says, both East and West missed Krishna here. The East tried to abandon action through sannyas. Monks thought, if we renounce, if we sit still, holiness will come. But action never stopped. It only produced stagnation, laziness, and often hypocrisy. The West tried to escape action in the opposite way by handing action to machines. But when human energy has no meaningful work, it bursts out destructively. That's why crime, violence, and addictions rise when people are idle. Both East and West missed Krishna's point. Action can't be eliminated. It can only be transformed.
That's so true. The East glorified withdrawal. The West glorified busyness. And both became imbalanced.
Yes, Krishna's vision is balance, not compulsive action, not lifeless inaction, but conscious action. Action without ego, without the delusion of I am the doer. This is why he tells Arjuna, the real problem isn't what you do. The real problem is who you think you are while doing it.
So the disease isn't the action, it's the I that clings to the action.
Exactly. Just as bodily pain makes us aware of the body, ego makes us aware of I. The ego is the thorn. If the ego remains, even meditation becomes ego-driven. But when the ego dissolves, every action, cooking, leading, fighting, building, becomes an offering, effortless, free.
That feels like such a powerful leadership lesson. Because leaders often say, I'll step aside, I won't interfere. But even stepping aside changes everything. And if they act with ego, even their service becomes domination.
Yes, leaders must realize inaction isn't neutrality, it is still shaping reality. Busyness isn't effectiveness, it might just be compulsion. True leadership is conscious engagement, acting with clarity without being possessed by the act. Krishna doesn't let Arjuna escape into passivity nor into hyperactivity. He guides him to the middle path, Karma Yoga.
So the key learnings from verse 5 are, life and action are inseparable. Escape into renunciation or into machines doesn't work. The East drowned in passivity. The West drowned in compulsive activity. Real freedom is not about what you do, but who you are when you do it. And Krishna, as a leader, reframes the entire question. Not should I act, but how will I act? Krishna has just told Arjuna, no one can escape action. And now, in verse 6, he adds a sharper warning. He says,
One who restrains the organs of action outwardly, but whose mind dwells on sense objects, is deluded. Such a person is called a hypocrite.
Strong words. Hypocrite. So what does Krishna really mean here?
Jessica, Krishna is pointing to something very subtle and very dangerous. The danger of mithyakara, hypocrisy. He says, if you suppress your actions outwardly, but your mind is still fantasizing inwardly, then you are living a double life. You appear pure outside, but inside you are burning with desire. That is not yoga, that is delusion.
So suppression isn't transformation. It only creates a split, an outside mask and an inside storm.
Exactly. The senses themselves are innocent. Eyes don't desire, the mind does. Hands don't crave, the mind commands. So blaming the senses, punishing the body is foolish. Osho even says if Freud had read Krishna, he would not have thought religion was only repression. Freud discovered that suppression creates neurosis. Krishna had said the same 5,000 years earlier.
That makes so much sense. If you fast, you think of food all day. If you force celibacy, your mind becomes obsessed with sex. So the more you repress, the stronger the craving grows.
Yes, and this is why Krishna calls such people muda, foolish. Not as an insult, but as a fact. Because repression creates inner schizophrenia. You smile outside, but rage inside. You act holy outside, but fantasize inside. You show detachment, but your mind clings harder. This illusion is worse than honest weakness because it deceives not only others, but yourself.
That's a piercing insight. And I can see how it applies to leadership too.
Absolutely. A leader who preaches ethics but secretly manipulates numbers. A leader who talks of simplicity while craving luxury inside. This hypocrisy is more destructive than open failure. Krishna is clear. It is better to be honestly flawed than to be a pretender. Because pretension erodes trust, both inside and outside.
So the lesson of verse 6 is this. True transformation is inner. Don't waste life in suppression or in masks. Bring harmony between your inner and outer. When the mind is free, the senses follow naturally.
Yes. This is why Krishna leads Arjuna away from both extremes. Not escape, not repression, not hypocrisy, but authentic action. When the inner and the outer align, action becomes yoga.
And that completes today's journey. In verses 4, 5, and 6, Krishna has shattered illusions of escape, of passivity, and of false detachment. He points us to the path of authentic, conscious action, the heart of karma yoga. As leaders, seekers, and human beings, this is our challenge too. Not to escape, not to pretend, but to live, act, and lead with integrity. Thank you for walking with us today. If this conversation touched you, do take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to Beyond the Battlefield. It helps this wisdom travel further. And if you'd like to explore deeper, we've created something special, a GPT companion called BYB Interactive. It's like carrying these reflections with you, always ready for your questions and insights. The link is in the description. Until next time, stay centered, stay inspired,